The next issue we want to address, inshallah, relating to the topic of the ummah and our responsibility, is the secular school system in Norway or in any other Western country where they don't have any Muslim schools. In our country, our Muslim youth are going to these non-Muslim schools and being influenced in a very negative way, where they are starting to even doubt Islam, or they feel that Islam is not the best way of life. They feel inferior to the secular civilization. So my question is, what is our responsibility in this regard? What can we do in regards to the secular educational system and the Muslims not having any Muslim schools in our country? And I would like some advice that each and every single person can actually act upon and make a difference in this regard. Sheikh Haitham, would you like to comment on this?
I think it is the
Sheikh Alaa?
No. Sheikh Alaa, this is your feet. Subhanallah.
خير إن شاء الله. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. This is the $100,000 question they usually say. You know that there is usually a discussion between married couple just before the time they get into the education system. Do we take him into public school? Do we take him into an Islamic school? Actually, there's a new discussion now. Do we just homeschool? So you have options, and actually coming up with a new course about parenting. Looked into the statistics, and the three has the pros and cons. Believe it or not, there's positive and negatives of each one of them. However, you have to actually discuss this with your spouse, and my recommendation for you is to write down the pros and cons according to your local area, because they're not the same everywhere, by the way. So the recommendation is write them down. Why? Because it's a physical and visual evidence that you actually need to know. You don't just keep it in your mind. So what you discuss, if we put him into the Islamic school, here's the pros and here's the cons. And unfortunately, most of the time in the Islamic schools, we don't have the resources to be able to provide the services, the education, or the high level of the public system. Especially if you have a needy child with need more skills, more speech impairment, all that. They don't have it. We don't have it. But the Islamic schools, we can't afford to pay the teachers the same wages as the public schools, so we have a high turnover. So there's no consistency of the teachers. So maybe even what's your qualification? La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Okay, you're hired. Or you know what, you have a beard, or you have a hijab, or you have this. I'm just talking real now, right? I'm talking straight out. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'll tell you like it is, because I've dealt with Islamic schools for years. I was one of the counselors in different cities. I'm actually in a center that has Islamic school, and I deal with them once a week. So it is a difficult decision. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be an easy decision, but the advice to the couples are, you have to make that decision based on facts. So write down the pros and cons for everyone, either public school or Islamic school or home school, and look at the pros and cons. And you have to weigh out what your priority for your children at the time. What means more to you for your child at a time? Is it more of a secular education that means more to you than the Islamic education? Maybe I can have a PhD, but my child will not know the ABCs about, or the 1, 2, 3s about Islam, right? So my advice is to have the best of both worlds. But not on the account where you lose your identity and you lose your religion. That is obviously, that's a given. So why don't we have, let's say, on the door of your child, Dr. Sheikh Hafidh Fulan, right? Why do we always have to say, you have to make a choice. Either the ilm al-din or ilm al-teen, right? That's what it's called. It's either this or that. Why don't we be the best doctors, the best engineers, the best lawyers, the best politician, the best, whatever it is, best media people that have, they work with their field within Quran and Sunnah. They become the best da'iyas. They become successful people. They can actually have the best high level of education, but they are a hafidh, they are a alim. And I've seen them, I've known some of these brothers that are a doctor and they've actually learned in Medina. There are actually, I'm not talking PhD doctors in their field, they're doctor as a physical doctor, actual doctor, medical doctor. But they actually went to Medina and studied this, right? So this is the combination that I look for. This is the combination I'm going to present and I ask for my children to be. And that's what they're going. They're going to seek the knowledge, the path of the Sharia. They learn. And they also seek the best of knowledge, and they are A students by, forgive me, I mean they are that's bad. But you still have to be the best. Why? Because we're asked to be the best. We're asked to be the best in everything. We're asked to perfect this ihsan in every field we do. I may have not given you the answer that you're looking for, but it's very difficult to give a specifics. So my recommendation is to go to your local imam because they know what's going on in your area. I am not in this area. So if the people come to me, I will tell them straight out, here's what happens in our community. I don't know what's going on in your community, so my recommendation is to go to your local imam, but I've just given you a general advice. That's all I can do for now. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala show us that what is right as right, and follow it, and show us that what is wrong as wrong, and stay away from it. May Allah choose what's best for us. Ameen. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Sheikh Haitham, you want to add something?
You wanted to ask me something.
I wanted to ask you something, Sheikh.
What was it?
Because I know what you want to say, Sheikh.
What is it?
And I want you to say it.
Go ahead.
As we see, mashallah, from what I understand from Sheikh Alaa's answer is that we should not have to choose between the secular education or the Islamic education. We need to be top in both fields, to summarize. Is that correct, Sheikh? Is it correct, Sheikh? Or did I misunderstand everything? Subhanallah, I misunderstood. Can someone please explain what the Sheikh said to me?
Go ahead, sir.
Summarize, Sheikh. Is that correct?
You're talking to me. I thought you were talking to Sheikh Haitham al-Haddad. I'm sorry, man. So I'm waiting for Sheikh Haitham. Go ahead, please. No, that is correct. I mean, we are asked to be the best in everything. That's my recommendation again. To reiterate, but as I said, you cannot take the secular education if you know that you're going through a fitna, right? We talked about the shahwat and shubuhat yesterday, right? Your whims and desires and the ambiguity or the unclear about your religion. Do not ever lose your identity as a Muslim, first and foremost.
But that's exactly the problem, because you're talking about higher education now. When you come to the level of higher education, the Muslim brothers and sisters, most of them, inshallah, will have, or those who already are practicing, yes, they would have a certain level of Iman. So they will not lose that Iman if they study higher education. But we're talking about the kindergarten, not the kindergarten, but what do you call the first school?
Yeah, no problem.
The children's school, mashallah.
These are true stories. I've been through it. I've been 36 years in Canada, and I can tell you it was not easy. And I can tell you if you're born and raised here, it'll probably be easier for you. But if you come from whatever we call back home, very difficult. Because obviously some of you may not have the language yet. You don't know the culture and that aspect. You look different, you speak different, you dress different. So some of us may change the name, and I'm sure we talked about this before, right? From Muhammad to Maut, from Fatima to Queen Latifah, from Dahlia to Delicious, from you go through that, this is fine. Don't beat yourself up.
Is it fine?
Is it funny? I don't know. It is not when, obviously, when somebody says, I think it's I can't remember the brother's name. He says, when somebody says, Assalamu alaikum, then he come here. You go somewhere else, wa alaikum assalam, man, they don't know I'm a Muslim here. So, not to that extent. You understand? And what I've noticed here in the community, they're very welcoming. Like what I've seen so far and what I've heard so far, the Norwegian people are very accommodating. And I've heard a lot of good things about it. Now, we cannot be in your face, right? And we heard the Shaykh, he says the da'wah is with a smile. And I know that some of the brothers think that their teeth are awra, right? They can't smile. I can't show them my teeth because they're like private parts. And I say, hey, shame, yani haram. Why, man? So why don't we use us being in the community, being ambassadors of Islam. I'm sure you hear this all the time. And if you decide to go, according to the best of your knowledge, the pros and cons, masalih, mafasid, and so on, you have to be there, and you're a walking pulpit, you're a walking Quran, you're a walking da'wah, you're an ambassador of Islam. Why do you use that? Remember, and by the way, and the scholars will tell you, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنْ قُلْ, they ask you about say. You don't force Islam down the throat, the people. You just live Islam. Then they will ask you, hey man, I don't see a girlfriend with you all the time. What's going on? Are you a happy person? Like, you're just so sweet. What's going on? You're so different. No. You see, in Islam, we do 1, 2, 3. Well, you know what? Well, I don't see you eating and drinking at that time. I'm on a diet. No, tell them, listen, I'm fasting, man. I'm a Muslim. Well, the reason is 1, 2, 3. You can use that. يَسْأَلُونَكَ. The scholar says, when they ask you, they're ready. قُلْ تَلْقِنِيَّة. Tell them. So you can use that as da'wah. So look in the positive path, but again, this is one way, it's a challenge, but as if you're fighting when the army is fled. The reward is high. Never compensate. And I can show you, I will finish with this inshallah. I've seen this. One brother sent me a link, and I believe he's in somewhere in Europe. The brother has a real beard, and he's playing basketball with a team. Apparently his team is somewhere in Europe, and they won. And there's, when you win, a sister in humanity, I don't want to say dressed because she wasn't, something, and they come up with a tray, right, to give the team something. And this brother has a kufi, and the beard down to here, and long shorts and everything, so he's trying to look away, and where do you look away? She's all over the place, man. So wallahi, the brother went like this. So yeah, you try to lower your gaze in the area. May Allah help you, inshallah. It's not going to be easy. The reward is multiplied. May Allah give you strength, inshallah. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. So Sheikh Haitham, I want you to, inshallah, elaborate a little bit about, the secular education influencing the Muslim children. Many of them are starting to doubt even Islam being the truth. And the parents, they don't have much choice because they don't have any Islamic schools in our country. So what exactly should they do? Should they be working towards establishing Islamic schools? If yes, what can an individual do? Or should they be in the field of educating more Muslim teachers maybe? That practicing Muslims, they start studying the field of teachers so they can at least infiltrate, if you can use that word, the non-Muslim schools, and inshallah spread the khair. Not infiltrate in a negative way if there's any non-Muslim say, we just want to give you the best, the best, inshallah, Islam, in Islam. Shaykh Haitham, inshallah.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. As you said that in Norway there are no Muslim schools. The only Muslim school that was established maybe last year or 2 years ago was a Shia school, as far as I know.
It's not even established.
Yeah, it is not yet established even. They are trying. Anyway, so there is no choice but to have the secular education, so-called secular education. Maybe some people have reservation on call it secular education. It is not our issue now. But and as far as most of the people here are young people, so let us address the young people. Let us not address the parents, because the parents are not listening to us. But for the young people, what can they do? Number of things. First of all, Sheikh Alaa said that you have to be confident of your identity. This is something important, and he explained it. Jazallah khair. Other things that you need to do, my young brothers, young sisters, my maybe children. First of all, try to balance the time you spend in the secular education, so-called secular education, with some activities or with some Islamic activities. For example, it is very important to attend some lectures, some regular lectures, daily lectures, daily lessons, maybe some lessons lessons about Quran in the masajid. And that's why those who are in charge of the masajid, it is very, very important for them to run madrasas, evening madrasas. In England, one of the main elements that protected the identity of the Muslims in England is the maktab, or the evening madrasas, where the children, after spending 8 hours in the secular education, they are studying for 2 hours Quran, and in particular Quran. So you young people, you have to make sure that you are balancing it to a certain level. This is one thing. The other thing is, don't spend all of your time with your friends from the secular education. You have to have some friends from the Muslim background. Because if you spend most of your time with non-Muslims who have certain ideology, certain background, and you cut yourself off from your Muslim friends, then slowly you will be influenced by the habits and the norms of the non-Muslims. And you will abandon the Islamic norms. Slowly. And then later on, you start doubting Islam. So this is another point that you need to do. The third point that you need to do, don't follow the norms of the society. Most of the young people spend a lot of time on the internet or social media, or maybe playing games, something like this, or maybe watch some haram stuff. Don't follow that norm, because if you follow that norm, eventually you will become exactly like them. No, try to do something different, something else. Also, in order to do something else, it is very good if you can, if we all can, arrange some activities for the youth. It is very important to arrange some activities for the youth. Sports activities, other types of activities, not necessarily Islamic activities or so-called Islamic activities. No, just activities for the young people to mix with each other. Okay? The last thing that I would like to say, there are many things to be said, is always think. Many of the young people, they just go with their whims and desires. They don't think. I want all the young people to think of one question and to keep it in their mind all of the time. Yes, let me take a pledge from all of you, a promise, that you will think about this question. Can I take a promise from all of you? From all of you. By the way, brothers and sisters, who were attending the last peace conference? Yes, mashallah, many. What was the promise that you gave me last time?
Read 15 minutes Quran per day. Read 15 minutes Quran per day.
Read 15 minutes Quran per day. And there was another one. What was it, ya brothers, sisters? Memorize? No. We said the minimum is what? Juzu Amma, the last juz of the Quran. Was that the promise? Yes or no? Come on. Yes or no? Okay, let me see who did it. So far I have seen some brothers who came and they apologized that they could not do it. They apologized. Okay, I said you are not apologizing for me. You need to apologize before Allah, not for me. Okay, but you broke your promise and you lost a lot. So now, who did it? Let me see hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, mashallah. Sisters more than brothers, as usual. Brothers, young brothers, who did it? Memorizing one juzu, mashallah. A few brothers, excellent. And mashallah, many sisters. But still, we need more. You promised, you should fulfill the promise. Don't say, oh yeah, we promised the Sheikh. For 1 year, you were unable to memorize one juzu. Wallah, this is, I don't think that this is a good sign. For 1 year, even after a promise. Anyway, I may just maybe rebuke you later, but let me finish my point. I want a promise from all of you. Yes, all of you, to think of one thing all of the time, at least once every day. Which is, why do we see that Islam is the most and the fastest growing religion in the world, and in particular in Europe? Think of that question. Why do we see Islam as the fastest growing religion in Europe? Wallahi, it is so amazing that in despite the negative image portrayed in the media about Islam, the negative image of al-Islam, yes, presented in the media, yet it is the fastest growing religion in Europe, in Norway. Wherever you go, you see people are accepting Islam. Is that true or not? Is that true or not? Despite in Islam, you are not allowed to go for drinking. You are not allowed to watch haram. You are not allowed to sleep as you want, because you have to wake up early in the morning in order to what? In order to pray Fajr. In a few months' time, we will fast. Subhanallah, fasting, maybe you will fast here in Norway, you will fast for 16 hours, in fact 18 hours. Yes? And still you young people do it. Is that true or not? It is so difficult. Yet many people would like to accept this Islam which makes their life difficult. Why? I will not give you the answer. But it will help you to be proud and confident of your identity and yourself, to think of those who are coming to you because of your identity. Yes? So you want to leave your identity for nothing? So think of that. Promise? Come on. Promise? Okay, I want a loud promise. Promise? Promise? Yeah, say, by Allah we promise. No, this is weak. We want a strong one. By Allah we promise. Excellent. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh.